It may have been the most glamorous and exclusive event ever held in New York City. Rocca looks back at the infamous black and white ball and its provocative host.
Good heavens, here comes John Kenneth Galbraith. The Maharani of Baroda is here, and the Baroness de Rothschild and Mrs. Lowell Guinness.
In November 1966, a parade of bold-faced names, dressed in their finest, peacocked their way into New York's Plaza Hotel, as CBS News correspondent Charles Kuralt, in his classic reporter's trench coat, set the scene.
And if those names don't mean anything to you, presumably you are not in the other half, and you will be interested in this little report on how the other half lives.
There was a reason a news network was covering this party. Author Truman Capote had invited 540 of his very closest friends.
Just an endless list.
Author Laurence Leamer has written about Capote's extraordinary life, including his black and white ball.
New York Times, the next day, published a list, the guest list. It was unheard of.
This was atypical because generally they would maybe do the list of, say, a White House state dinner.
Right.
Were people lobbying him?
It didn't work. He just loved turning people down.
Among the invited, Frank Sinatra and his then-wife Mia Farrow, Andy Warhol, Norman Mailer, Henry Fonda, and a 19-year-old model and actress.
Do you remember getting the invitation to the ball?
No, and it was an invitation that people were clawing to get.
Yeah.
It was New York at its most vicious.
Candice Bergen was one of the guests.
You knew that you'd have to get a mask.
Yes. Halston stepped in.
That would be Halston, the designer of First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy's pillbox hat.
He had designed a white mink bunny mask for Marisa Berenson.
Berenson, who became one of the highest-paid fashion models in the world. She was also at the party.
And she found something better. So Halston needed a person, and it was like, okay, you wear it, whoever you are. So I wore it.
As an author, Truman Capote is remembered for Breakfast at Tiffany's and the groundbreaking book In Cold Blood. As a personality, Capote captivated and mystified audiences in TV interviews. He also played a character not unlike himself in 1976's Murder by Death.
The victim is here at this very table at this very moment.
For Capote, the masked black and white ball was something of a social experiment.
In a masked ball, you see, for the first hours of it, before the unmasking, anybody can dance with anybody they want to or talk to anybody they want to. It's a completely free thing. And by the time the unmasking come, you made a lot of new friends. And that was the point.
The ball has been recreated in an episode of the new FX series Feud, Capote versus the Swans. The Swans were the wealthy socialite wives who confided in Capote. He would eventually betray them by revealing their secrets in writing.
It's an immensely cruel and nasty thing to do to your closest friends. It's unforgivable. How he thought they could forgive him is beyond me.
But his falling out with high society would happen later. When Capote threw his ball, he was at the height of his powers.
It was the ultimate fantasy for him. This poor little kid from Alabama could pull this off and get everybody to come there.
The very planning of the party was the talk of the town for months. The party's ostensible guest of honor, Washington Post publisher Katharine Graham.
The party was really for
Truman Capote.
Do you think that Truman had a good time at his own party?
Well, did he ever have a truly good time? I don't know. I'm sure he had a massive adrenaline rush. And obviously it was.
The one we present to the world.
Tom Hollander plays Truman Capote in the FX series, which doesn't gloss over the author's dark side.
It's carnival. It's everything I've dreamt of since I was a little boy, this kind of true nakedness.
He was addicted to alcohol. He was also addicted to high society. It made him feel good, but it was not good for him. He should have been at his desk.
What was it in his personality that compelled him to throw this party?
Well, the point and fun of having a party is who you don't invite.
A deep inferiority complex.
So much fear there.
It's all fear.
John Robin Baitz wrote the series.
I always think he could have had another 25, 30 years if he had followed the advice of clean up and go into exile.
When Capote threw his ball, he was coming off the huge success of In Cold Blood. It would be the last of his books published in his lifetime. He died 18 years later at age 59.
Do you think most people there had a good time at the party?
No, I don't think people had fun, but like all things in hell, they pretended they were having a good time.
Do you think that a party could happen today and get that kind of attention?
I hope not. It's too much.
Yeah.
I think it was a huge piece of theater for Truman.
Right.
And it worked.
Would you say you had fun there?
I was overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I had to be focused. It's like, pay attention here.
Do you still have the mask?
No. I had to return the mask.
If you were rich enough, or social, or beautiful enough, you would have been here to see for yourself. And as somebody said, unkindly, if we were rich enough, or social, or beautiful enough, we wouldn't be standing out here in the halls. Charles Kuralt, CBS News, New York. Okay.